I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch network. Many Republican senators are turning against Donald Trump. They are talking about what they should be doing to try to oppose Donald Trump in private. But if history is any lesson or predictor of future conduct, unfortunately, that may just be the extent of it, where they give anonymous quotes or on background quotes to the media and say, hey, that's as tough as we can be. Let's just let this MAGA Republican movement take over the party while we give on background quotes. That's what we will do. Anyway, this new article in The Hill is called Senate GOP Leaders Break with House on Trump Indictment. And the article talks about how all of the House of Representatives is controlled by the MAGA Republicans right now, each one more extreme than the next, essentially calling for total fascism. The article doesn't say that, but that's essentially the implication. However, there's a number of senators, perhaps more Republican senators than others in the Republican Party, who want Donald Trump gone. They've had enough of him, and this indictment they now believe is the last straw, as though every other straw wasn't the last straw. I mean, it is utterly pathetic. So the article quotes a number of House Republicans, anonymously, of course, or a number of former aides or aides to Senate Republicans who speak on conditions of anonymity, but they have very harsh words for Donald Trump, and they praise Special Counsel Jack Smith. So this is from the Hill article from a former Senate Republican aide. Wow, very bold. Former Senate Republican aide who won't share their name goes, "They want Donald Trump to go away, so they wouldn't be very upset if this is the thing that finally takes him out," a former Senate Republican aide said about Senate Republican leaders' silence on Trump's indictment. Oh, very powerful by the Senate Republicans, their silence. Quote, "Jack Smith is very credible," said the former Senate GOP aide. "There is the reflection that he may have actually found, finally, the silver bullet to end Trump's political career," the former aide said, noting that Smith has a tape of Trump acknowledging that Trump retained classified documents after leaving office that he didn't declassify while president. I mean, look, we have a tape of what happened on January 6th, okay? We have a tape of what happened every day when Donald Trump disgraced the office of the presidency. We have all of the posts he makes every single day. Is it not enough that almost once a day he posts a QAnon meme, like actually a death cult meme that talks about public executions that are going to happen to appoint him as emperor? Is that not enough? Oh, so it's actually for Senate Republicans. It's going to take that Special Counsel Jack Smith found an audio recording where Donald Trump held up military plans to just random strangers about America's potential plans in the event of a military attack on Iran, what that would look like. That's the final straw. That's where you draw the line, and then only then the way you want to show how strong you oppose that is by remaining silent and not saying anything. Here's what another Senate Republican aide said: "The indictment is pretty damning." You think? It's all damning. I mean, if we listen to this is why we cover what Donald Trump says here on this network, even though other media, large media entities don't do this. Everything he says is not just damning. It's utterly crazy. It's utterly insane and dangerous and not normal. But okay, this indictment is pretty damning, says this Senate Republican aide. "The documents that he did have and who he was showing them to and where he was storing them is all pretty damning," the aide said. "I don't know if it will make a difference in the political landscape, but it certainly seems pretty bad." You're a Senate Republican aide. What do you mean you don't know if it will make a difference in a political landscape? The political landscape, like, that is what you do for a living. That is your job. So perhaps other than giving quotes on background and anonymous quotes, maybe you do something about it. Maybe you stand up and you say, hey, maybe it is a very bad thing for the leader of our party to be sharing national security secrets with random people about plans to attack other countries. And maybe it's a bad thing to keep the most sensitive classified information in like showers and by the toilet bowl and all over the floor, while on multiple occasions there have been foreign spies arriving at Mar-a-Lago. It's a resort open to the public. It's not like some private residence. It is a resort that's publicly advertised that if you just pay money, you can get into this club. Going on, former Senator Judd Gregg. Senator Gregg used to be the senator of New Hampshire, used to be a governor of New Hampshire, who was also a one-time advisor to Mitch McConnell's leadership team, and whose home state will host the second contest of next year's Republican presidential primary, said the Department of Justice's indictment may prove too much for Trump to overcome. At some point, there's a straw that breaks the camel's back, and there's a whole lot of straws on the back of Donald Trump right now. Gregg called the legal problems facing Trump clearly, quote, outside the norm for a major leader of our nation. I mean, why mince words like that, though? Like, why even say it like that? I mean, I appreciate here former Senator Gregg at least putting his name to this quote, but he's not in the Senate anymore, number one. And number two, saying outside the norm for a major leader of our nation. No, it's just call it treason. Call it traitorous, call it insane, call it dangerous, call it fascism. Just call it by its names. Why is everybody just dancing around it? You know how you feel. It's common sense that what Donald Trump's doing is what a traitor does. It's clear that it is treasonous. It's clear that it is crazy and idiocracy and fascist and disgusting. So just use those words. This is from Gregg, quote, most Republicans want somebody else. Even Trump people want somebody else because they want to win, and they recognize Trump is incapable of winning a general election at this point. He said Senate Republican leaders should call on the GOP to move past the former president. Quote, I would be advising them to say, listen, we have to move on as a party. Let Donald Trump work through his legal issues, which are considerable. But we as a party need to move on, and let's find ourselves a candidate for president who can win. Why don't you say, let's find ourselves a candidate who has the best interest of the American people? Why don't you say, let's find ourselves a candidate who will try to improve our country? You know, the very one of the sources, the root cause of this problem, there's a lot, but one of them is, notice that when Republicans talk about a candidate, they never talk about what the candidate can actually do for the country. It's always, can they win, can they win, can they win, can they win? And so Donald Trump preyed on a number of vulnerabilities that exist within the country, unfortunately, and certainly within the GOP, playing to people's worst aspects of themselves, playing to xenophobia and racism and hatred that all exists and festers and has been festering in the Republican Party. But also one of the vulnerabilities is their focus is just, can we, win? Can we win? Win. Not, can we win for the American people? Can we deliver for the American people? So then you open yourself up to be hustled by someone who just goes, win, I could win, and just lies to you over and over and over again. No, the foundation and the framework here should be, how can a candidate help improve our country? Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski from Alaska on Friday evening said the charges brought by the Department of Justice are, quote, quite serious and cannot be casually dismissed. Why would anybody casually dismiss somebody stealing classified records and sensitive compartmented information and engaging in obstruction of justice? She said in a statement that, quote, mishandling classified documents is a federal crime because it can expose national secrets as well as the sources and methods they were obtained through. Yes, that's accurate. And what did Mitt Romney have to say? Quote, by all appearances, the Justice Department and special counsel have exercised due care, affording Mr. Trump the time and opportunity to avoid charges that would not generally have been afforded to others. Romney said in a statement, quote, Mr. Trump brought these charges upon himself by not only taking classified documents, but by refusing to simply return them when given numerous opportunities to do so, he said. And then the article goes on to cite other Republicans in the Senate, like Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, who the article refers to as who are more conservative. They're not more conservative. They're fascist. That's who they are. There's nothing conservative about what's saying this. And it's all projection. This is like what they're quoted as saying. The Biden administration's actions can only be compared to the type of oppressive tactics routinely seen in nations such as Venezuela, Bolivia, and Nicaragua. No, y'all conduct. All of your actions are like what we see in authoritarian nations. Not what is going on right now with Donald Trump. Donald Trump committed crimes. You are the ones who are trying to politicize this by saying that your cult leader, who, by the way, when it comes to Ted Cruz, like mocks your wife and your dad and you just sit there and take it like the little coward that you are, but that you want to place that cult leader above the law is what is utterly, utterly despicable. And then finally, just want to show you this, though. This is a poll that shows you how the Republican base is shrinking, though. National security, this was a poll from CBS YouGov. Is it a national security risk if Trump kept nuclear military secrets? Okay, put it this way. 80% of the rest of the country says yes, that it is a national security risk if Trump kept nuclear military secrets, of course. Of likely GOP primary voters, only 38% of that group say that it is a national security risk. So not only does it show you that poll, the radicalization of the GOP primary voters, but if 80% of the rest of the country believes that it is a national security risk, it goes to show you what a small percentage of the overall country then the likely GOP primary voter base is. So there you have it. I'm always reminded of when Mitch McConnell voted to acquit Donald Trump, allowing Donald Trump to avoid impeachment for his conduct during the January 6th insurrection and the prior impeachment too, the first impeachment. But I'm talking about the January 6th impeachment. And then Mitch McConnell, after voting to acquit Donald Trump, gave a speech basically saying that Donald Trump is a criminal. If that hypocrisy doesn't sum up, if that cowardice doesn't sum up the modern day GOP perfectly, I don't know what else does. Perhaps their quotes here in this article. I'm Ben Meiselas from the MeidasTouch Network. Hit subscribe. We're on our way to 1.5 million subscribers. Thanks to your support. Check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. Wherever podcasts are available, subscribe as well to the MeidasTouch podcast, and have a great day.
At MeidasTouch, we are unapologetically pro-democracy, and we demand justice and accountability. That's why we're spreading our message to Convict 45. That's right, gear up right now with your Convict 45 tees and pins at store.MeidasTouch.com. That's store.MeidasTouch.com.